company, and you run it $40 trillion in debt, you'd be in jail. You wouldn't be broke, you'd be in jail. They would have you under the jailhouse if you did at your company what our leaders has done in our country. Number 3, craze for pleasure and sporting events. When we get crazy for pleasure and sporting events, what does that mean? That means when we skip church so Johnny can play.
Go ahead.
Come on, I'm just going to lay it out there. I'm a little bit old school when it comes to this stuff. I just believe on Sundays Christians are supposed to be in church. I always had it down in my spirit. Don't fail to assemble yourselves together. Respect the Lord's day. Give it to me. Keep it holy. I just believe it. When we stop, when everybody old enough to remember the blue law. I'm old enough to remember when I was a kid, you couldn't buy a gallon of gas in my town. There wasn't nothing to be had. Not through Blue Well, not through Bluefield. When the blue law was in effect, you couldn't buy. You better gas up on Saturday because there wasn't no gas to be had. You couldn't get nothing on Sunday. When we did away with that, we started sending people to work, and we started sending restaurant people to have to go out and wait tables and gas station attendants. All of a sudden, this country took a horrid turn to where we see Sunday as just another work day. I need to make money. I need to. No. Listen to me, church. I know that we got to have doctors, and we got to have nurses, and there's got to be people that's on call on ambulances and police officers. Sundays can't shut down for everybody, but I promise you that when this country no longer observed Sunday as a Sabbath, but just another day, we were heading downhill fast. Amen. Because it has spread into the church. Oh my goodness, I can't believe the disease that has got into the church of people who just don't see the need to be in church. It's quiet in this one.
It's all right. Go ahead.
Building big armaments when the real decay is inside the country.
Yeah.
Building huge militaries to go out and fight foreign wars when really the decay is inside the country. I'm not near. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. I probably will get chastised and receive emails and letters over this. But I'm not as afraid of Osama bin Laden as I am some of the people in this country.
Come on.
Osama ain't affected me near as much as some of these people in Washington are. Are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm not as near as concerned about where Osama's at this morning and what he's up to as I am some of the elected leaders of this country. They have a lot more to do with your paycheck than Osama ever will. Building big armaments when the real falling apart's happening around our ears. That's like you trying to go over and give the neighbors marital advice when you get in a divorce. Number 5. And this was the big one, church, the decay of religious faith. The decay of religious faith. You know what's wrong in most settings in this country, and it happens in church, it happens in Washington, and it happens where you work, and everywhere you shop. Everybody has solutions, and everybody knows what the problems are, and they want to speak out against the problems, but nobody ever gives viable solutions. This is why we need the mouth of the prophet more than we've ever needed it before. We need somebody that's tuned in to the wisdom of God so that we can stand up and at least be heard. Nobody may listen. Nobody may heed the words, but at least somebody needs to know what God is doing in these last days. Because I've been hearing my whole life, ever since the oil embargo, that we need independence from foreign oil. And yet in all these years, ain't nobody built a refinery. We've got more oil in Alaska than they've got over there in the Middle East, and they won't even let us dig it out up there. Can somebody say, amen? That don't sound right, does it? They've been saying since the Kennedy administration, we need a health care system. And in 40 years, ain't nobody fixed the health care system. Hello?
Come on.
How many times have you heard this? Oh, we need better public schools. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, they've been saying that since most of you were children. But here's the problem. They won't give me a voucher to pay for my kid to go to the school that I want to send them to. They want better public schools, but they want to choose where your kids go to school. And if you're going to send them to a Christian school, you're going to have to pay for it out of your own pocket. Because Washington wants your children in public schools. Oh, yes, they do. They want your children. There's teachers down at Brook, and it follows me in every school around. children because they want to teach them that they came from apes. They want to show them how to put a condom on a cucumber. They want to teach them that a man with a man and a woman with a woman is an acceptable lifestyle. They want to get into your children's life as early as possible to teach them debauchery and decay. But can I tell you, church, that when this nation gets to the point where it no longer matters what thus saith the Lord, it won't take Osama to bring us down. The church is going to be the only way we've got left to stand on. OPEC still got us by the throat after all these years. And we've got oil in Alaska and tree huggers won't let us dig it. Over in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 8, God made one of His covenants with Israel. He established one of His covenants in Deuteronomy 8 and 18. He says, "Thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is He that giveth thee power to get wealth, that He may establish His covenant, which He sware unto thy fathers, as it is this day." See, God made a covenant of wealth with the Hebrew nation on this day. He said, you're going to have vineyards that you won't have to plant. I'm going to give you houses that you won't have to build. And I'm going to give you wells that you won't have to dig up out of the ground. But here's the thing. He said, you'll lend to other nations and never have to borrow. I'll give you so much prosperity that people will call you blessed, and they'll come and receive blessing from you, and you'll never have to worry about them coming to bless you. But God warned them. He said, beware when you come into your land. See, God always tells us that we are our own worst enemy. He said, I'm going to give you this blessing. I'm going to give you this land. I'm going to give you all of this prosperity. But beware when you become prosperous, that you don't forget that it was me, God, who made you this way. That you didn't get there because you were smart. That you weren't so strong and mighty and rough and tough. The reason you're prospered and the reason you'll stay prospered is because of me. And don't ever forget it. Don't ever forget it. And so God had blessed this nation just like He had blessed Israel. As a matter of fact, Deuteronomy chapter 15, when I flip a few pages, I read this in verse 6. For the Lord thy God blesseth thee, as He promised thee. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. Thou shalt reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over thee. Since World War II, nations have came to us for loans. We have about, do you know how much money we sunk into Japan? We go over and blow them up and then rebuild them. Nations have came to us since World War II because they called us blessed. They saw America rise out of obscurity. They saw us come over and take over what the Indians had. We took it over and pushed them out. And we secured this. And we won the Revolutionary War. And we had our own skirmish within our own boundaries and fought the Civil War. And we came through it. And they've seen us become blessed. They've seen us become the most prosperous nation. They've seen us become the most influential nation. We set trends here. Hollywood goes by here. People in other countries live their entire lives trying to get to America. Foreigners grow up. Children dream in school. They learn English. Did any of you learn Chinese in schools? Most of you studied a little bit of Latin and you couldn't talk enough Latin now to get out of this room. You couldn't ask where's the restroom in Latin. Some of you took French and probably don't know any of it. Some of you took a little Spanish, but you didn't take Spanish as a lifestyle, you took it as a class. Children in those countries learn English because it's their life's ambition to either get here or trade here. And they know that English, because we are the world power, we are the dominating force in this world, they're going to have to at least learn how to speak English because that's where the power lies. But this is the problem, church, because now we're seeing a shift in power. You may not see it on the surface, but there's been a shift in power. They used to come to us for loans. And can I give you on the wall 4 reasons that God's favor has been on America? The reason other countries have called us blessed is because, number one,